Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to talk about a lot of new Team Rocket Pokemon. We've seen the full set list now for Glory of Team Rocket, and yes, there are quite a lot of new Team Rocket Pokemon. So we've got a lot to get through. Let's start off with Nidoking EX. I like Nidoking EX. It's a very cool looking Pokemon, but is it actually any good? Well, we got 3 energy, 100 damage, and your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned, but the poison is 8 damage counters during Pokemon checkup rather than 1. And yes, it is quite expensive, but do remember we've got Team Rocket's energy, which counts as a double energy, and it's dark or psychic, but this is darkness, so you're fine. It's alright. This poison can build up quite quickly, and, you know, we've got stuff like Perilous Jungle, for instance, which will actually mean that it builds up even faster. You'll be putting 10 damage counters on for poison between turns. It is a stage 2, and I know a lot of what we see from the Glory of Team Rocket set right now seems like Rocket decks are going to be quite consistent. There's going to be a lot going on there, but I still think this is maybe just a big stage 2 that takes too much energy. The second attack here is 4 energy, 240, which will get basic EXs, which is awesome, but that's about it. And I hate to say it, but I'm just thinking, like, if I'm getting a stage 2 out, and I'm putting 4 energy on here, I really would like to do more than 240 damage, if that's okay with you. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Definitely a little bit of potential here, but I don't think it's going to work out as much as we might have hoped. Now, we've also got a Nidoqueen here. Makes sense that we would have them coming along as a pair. 2 energy, 130. Now, do remember that this does work for Team Rocket's energy. Also remember that 130 damage on a stage 2 is not good enough, I think is probably the way to put it. But what we got here for a single darkness energy, 60 damage, but if you have a Pokemon with Nidoking in its name on your bench, then it does 180. Now, very important, it is a Pokemon with Nidoking in its name, so Team Rocket's Nidoking totally counts. Regular Nidoking totally counts. 180 on a stage 2 is still not enough for my liking, I'm afraid. But we do have maybe an even better attack here on the Nidorina. Because Nidorina, for a single darkness energy on a stage 1, chooses 2 of your darkness Pokemon in play. For each of those Pokemon, search your deck for a card that evolves from that Pokemon and put it on to evolve it. Yes, I'm fully aware that what we're really talking about here is TM Evolution, but it only works for darkness. But it's also not a tool that I have to go and find that falls off at the end of the turn, etc. So I don't know if it's necessarily going to be a big thing, especially as, you know, it's a turn 2 play at best, and TM Evolution is best when you go second and have this as a turn 1 going second play. But still, it's an interesting little attack. Now, we do have a new Houndoom coming in here. We like Houndoom. Do we actually like this Houndoom in the attack? And the answer is, well, the artwork's amazing by Aniseki Dynamic. And we got single energy, and you get poison and burn. Their opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned and burned. Or 2 energy, 120 damage. Discard an energy from this Pokemon. It's not particularly impressive. And remember that this needs a fire energy, and Team Rocket's energy will only actually work as darkness or psychic, although it will be 2 when attached to a Team Rocket's Pokemon. It's only darkness or psychic. So I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, this doesn't actually work, and I don't think this Houndoom's very good. Sorry about that. But hey, we got a Chingling, 30 HP, 0 energy attack. What does it do? Discards a random card from your opponent's hand. Choose a card from your opponent's hand without looking and discard it. It's fine. It's alright in the early game. As a kind of, I've got nothing else, free retreat, takes no energy and all of that. But the thing is, you're essentially using this as a Pokemon in the early game to slow the game down and frustrate your opponent. And if you're doing that with Chingling, isn't Badoo just better? I think, honestly, yeah. Could still be fun in some control decks, especially decks that are built around hand disruption, of course, because they are going to get your opponent down to a one-card hand and basically just discard it every turn. But even trying to pull that off of a 30 HP Pokemon seems a little bit risky. Now, Mimikyu, we got a little bit of a peek previously, because we know it's going to be one of our pre-release promos. Well, now we've got a better look at the Mimikyu. What does it do? Well, you choose one of your opponent's active Terra Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. It only copies Terra Pokemon. But this is a basic Pokemon that can attack for a Team Rocket's energy. And I actually kind of love this. Find yourself up against a Dragapult? Sure, this will go down pretty easily, but not before it's a basic Pokemon for 1 energy attachment that's done 200 to the active and drops 6 damage counters on the bench. Or if you find yourself against a Terrapagos deck, for instance, well, you will need a Terra Pokemon in order to take advantage of Area 0 Underdepths. But if you do, you can get 8 bench Pokemon and deal 240 and get a KO on Terrapagos. You will need a Terra Pokemon in order to actually use Area 0 Underdepths, admittedly. But if you're worried about Terrapagos decks, play a random Terra. Don't play a random Terra, play Pikachu because you can't get one hit KO'd. But put like one Pikachu in your deck, and then all of a sudden this Mimikyu becomes a genuine counter to Terrapagos. And that's actually kind of awesome. Or against Charizard decks. Once your opponent's taken a bunch of prizes, you can then copy Charizard and do really big damage. This Mimikyu is one of the best Rocket cards in the set. This Mimikyu is genuinely awesome. And yeah, it's very situational. Also, side note, in pre-releases, there's no Terra Pokemon in the set. So this is a pre-release promo, which cannot attack during pre-releases. That's not lost on me. However, I do think the fact that it attacks for just a Team Rocket energy, genuinely brilliant. Love this card. This could be very good against a bunch of Pokemon. Now we got ourselves an Arbok here. The Arbok, I'm afraid to say, is a little bit less impressive. Only kidding. The ability's awesome. Plus great T0 artwork. The ability says that while this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, your opponent cannot play from their hand any Pokemon that have abilities other than Team Rocket's Pokemon. Yeah, this is actually really good. I like this. Now, it needs to be in the active, admittedly, but this can stop your opponent playing a whole bunch of Pokemon. So I'm just saying, this seems pretty good. This seems like another fun counterplay. The problem is it needs to be in the active to actually work, and then the attack is 3 darkness energy, and it does 30 damage to all of your opponent's Pokemon. It's fine, but that's the thing we see a lot with these kind of Pokemon. It frustrates your opponent, it stops them playing very much, but the attack's kind of terrible. There'll still be some games where you can put this active and your opponent basically can't play their deck and you'll win for that. But very situational. Could be awesome, but it's not always going to work. You have been warned. Now we got ourselves a new Muk. Obviously we got a new Muk. Come on, it's Team Rocket. We're gone to get a new Muk. And what we've got from the new Muk here is 2 energy, but bearing in mind Team Rocket's energy will pay it in one go. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused and cannot retreat during their next turn. So 40 damage plus confusion plus they can't retreat. So you're basically forcing them to either have a switching card or actually flip for confusion, which, well, if they flip tails, the attack fails, they take damage. That's hilarious. Free energy, 100 damage for each special condition on your opponent's active Pokemon, which is alright. The problem is we've seen attacks like this in the past and they've not been particularly great. And we don't really have the item cards. You need item cards that put a lot of special conditions on right now. We just don't really have that. Plus the free energy. I don't think this is going to work, but I think the first attack could actually be suitably annoying. Yes, I am well aware that Dangerous Laser will put a bunch of special conditions on here, and that will do lots of damage. I'm also aware that Dangerous Laser is a terrible A-spec, and you definitely shouldn't play it. So I'm mentioning it now, but no. I know that we've got Pokemon around right now that you can kind of combine with lots of different abilities and potentially get them on. I just don't think it's going to work. And also, when it does work, it needs to be one energy attachment so you can refresh it every turn when it goes down. This is 2 energy attachments, so it's just not going to work. I'm sorry. I want it to. I don't think it's gonna. But I should actually mention the Grimer quickly before we move on. The Grimer could be kind of fun. We've got an attack for 2 energy, and I've told you many times what 2 energy means in a Rocket deck. And at the end of your opponent's next turn, discard the defending Pokemon and all cards attached to it. Now, admittedly, it gives your opponent a turn. And that means that they can get around it, and if they switch to the bench, they do get around it. But sometimes they won't be able to, or sometimes they'll have a completely dead hand, and sometimes this will work. Do remember, it is discard the defending Pokemon, or trash to use the word on Japanese cards. So what that means is they're going away, but you're not taking any prizes for it. Now we got ourselves a Murkrow coming in here. Not a Honchkrow, just a Murkrow. We know these trainers' Pokemon don't always evolve. And what we've got here is single energy. And then you get to choose a supporter card from your deck, show it to your opponent, add it to your hand, shuffle your deck. Oh, you search a supporter card. Not complete garbage, because turn 1 going second, single energy, you can search for a supporter, but let's not pretend we're actually going to play this. This is pre-release fodder at best. But 2 energy, 30 damage, and you get to choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks. They cannot use it during their next turn, which actually is really quite good, especially in a pre-release where your opponent might only have 1 good attack. So I've got my eye on this one. This one could be kind of fun. Now we have a new Raticate here, and this one's not terrible. Single energy, 90 damage. It's not great, but you know, you go first on turn 2, your opponent hasn't evolved, you're doing 90, yay! But you got to flip 2 coins, and if both of them are tails, you KO yourself as well. 1 in 4 times you are going to be going down. That is not ideal. This is another one that is going to be a beast in pre-releases. Single evolution, single energy, 90 damage. Yes. In standard, it's fine. 90 damage is alright, but you got a 1 in 4 chance of KOing yourself unless you play something to boost up your HP. It's not ideal, but it could kind of work. Also worth noting that Rattata here is 10 damage plus poison for a single energy. That could kind of be useful sometimes. But wait! Apparently all those Pokemon wasn't enough. We've also got an item card here. Team Rocket's Pesterbot. Look at one of your opponent's face-down prize cards and a random card from their hand. You may have your opponent switch those cards, but the prize card stays face-up for the rest of the game. This is not terrible. Again, we're talking kind of control here, but the idea is that basically your opponent loses a card. You know, you find a really good card in their hand, and it's kind of random. You might not hit it, but you find a card in their hand, and then they don't get to have that card anymore. I'm just saying, that's kind of fun. I don't know if it's going to work, but I am telling you this one's kind of interesting, and I'm sure control players will find a way. But we've also got a stadium, and it's not actually 1 stadium, it's 2 stadiums, and they're both pretty good. The first one, Team Rocket Surveillance Tower, colorless Pokemon in play, yours and your opponent's have no abilities. So what I did was I just went to PKMN cards and searched for colorless Pokemon that have an ability. This could be really good. Get it down early enough in the game. Squawkabilly. A lot of people are playing this. Yeah, that gets turned off. Thing about Squawkabilly is it's only usable on your first turn, so you have to go first and get this down immediately so your opponent can't use Squawkabilly on their first turn. But still, it totally works. The Dunsparce, which a bunch of decks are using as a draw engine, yeah, that's not going to work, and this turns off colorless Pokemon in play. Doesn't say basic, doesn't say evolutions, it just turns off colorless Pokemon abilities. So the Dunsparce, which like I've said, a bunch of decks are using as a draw engine, they aren't going to be using it as a draw engine because they can't use it as a draw engine because it doesn't have an ability. Along the same kind of lines, Noctowl. Yeah, decks love playing that, don't they? Yeah, searches out trainer cards. It's absolutely brilliant. No ability. Or Fanroton, which again only works on your first turn, so you've got to go first and have the stadium down to stop your opponent using this. But still, that's going to get turned off. How about Blood Moon Ursaluna, which a lot of people use as a sweeper to end the game? Yeah, that doesn't work anymore. This is legitimately a good stadium. And yes, I know your opponent can just replace the stadium and get their abilities back. I understand that. But no. Although, while we're here, I gotta say, this actually makes Slacking EX way better. Because now it'll turn off Slacking's ability Born to Slack, so it can just always attack. So it's actually got a really nice effect. And we did see one of these on stream in Stockholm doing all right. So I'm just saying, if you're a Slacking EX player, this is gonna help you. And then we got one more stadium coming in here, which I actually really like. Team Rocket's Factory. Once during your turn, if you've played a supporter card with Team Rocket in its name during your turn, you may draw 2 cards. Now, importantly, it is if you have played a supporter at some point during your turn, you can go, oh, I'll use a stadium and draw 2. It doesn't draw 2 when you play the card, which is important for some interactions. It is you choose to do it at any point if you've played a supporter. Very important distinction. This is just your default stadium in Team Rocket decks. And we've got that supporter which searches out 3 basic Pokemon, i.e. it's Pokemon Collector. And we've got Giovanni, which is gusting, as well as a switch. We've got really good supporters in Team Rocket, which you're going to want to play. So if any of these Team Rocket attackers are good enough, oh, the support suite for Team Rocket is amazing. So there we go, slightly longer video than normal, but look, there were a lot of new Team Rocket cards I need to talk about. What am I going to do, split them into multiple videos? No! All the ones from Glory of Team Rocket are in here, even the ones like Houndoom and Murkrow, which probably aren't very good. But I've told you about all of them now, so now it's over to you guys. I've shown you every Team Rocket Pokemon in Glory of Team Rocket, so tell me if you think they're going to be any good. The support is definitely busted. Are any of the attackers good enough? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. And, of course, get shout-outs on the channel like the lovely Jelena Renji, who's been a supporter of ours for a long time now and is a very lovely person. So shout-out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.